challenge with the communication could be at my side, at your side. If it is at my side, I have a team who is going to acknowledge me on that. Okay, so if in case something you face at your side, please try to switch between the no audio back to the computer audio. If you see on the right side of your panel, there is option in the audio tab somewhere. Yeah, you would be able to see. So switch between that. It should fix your problem. Yeah, that certainly sometimes is intermittently happen. So if in case something happens, just try to either refresh your browser if you are using a web connection, or maybe just try to rejoin quickly. Should be like a couple of seconds, you will be back to the session. So yeah, that's a small housekeeping. And one another thing, this session is not being recorded. So usually the ask is if in case we can send this recording out on demand, but it's not. We are not recording this session. Let me see. Yes, we are not. So yeah, in my previous session, somehow I kept it on and I had to stop it. So and those who had joined previous session this week on machine learning, and another one we ran with the solution architects, yeah, and yet to receive the material, I am going to send it by today evening or tomorrow. Since there were some questions, I'm going to write an answer for that, so you can get all benefit uh, about the questions were asked in the session. So it does take some time, guys. So I will try my level best to do it as soon as possible, and we'll send you across. Yeah. So with that, I just want to inform you, we also run other sessions other than this one we are running today. This is one of our specialty course, which we are going to cover big data analytics side. We also run SAP, machine learning. We also run on uh, VMware, which is one of a very interesting topic. And also we run other technical sessions as well for the technical professionals. Yeah, so feel free to join them as well. So that is all information available on our public website, and I will share that by the end of session. So most of the things around joining coming sessions and what is going on, we can cover by the end of today's session as well. So this session would be very short and crisp session. I'm going to make you sit by 5 o'clock. I think we shall wind up around noon. Yeah, by 1 o'clock. So yeah, if in case you have received meeting until 5 p.m., so don't worry. Actually, because we had a platform changed, as I mentioned, we are expecting large audience today. We have changed it to the some platform where we can accommodate more people without any problem. So yeah, that's why that's the reason that would be shared later. Yeah. Okay. So what was I was talking about? We are okay. Why don't we get to know each other by the time we are waiting for some of people joining us? So please, guys, let us know from where have you joined us today. So if in case you are not able to click on the radio button, just minimize your session. You should be able to click if in case you are running in the application, not in the web browser. Yeah. So myself, Pravesh Chopra, as you can see my name on the screen, I'm a partner trainer with AWS, part of training and certification team. And within the TNC, training and certification, we are the partner org, wherein we conduct sessions for our partners specifically on a various topics. As I mentioned, we also do run a private session for many companies where we go for the technical professionals, business sessions, as well as specialty sessions, as one we are running today for everyone. So we must have a lot of people join us from a different part. It as a big data to send you something, some of the suggestions nearby your location, some of the recommendation. Yeah, this is just to get to know you Okay, so since as mentioned, we have a lot of partners joining in, it would be good to understand uh, which partner tier your org is. If in case you don't know and you want to find it out, I'm going to share a link with you where you can find your partner profile. Yeah. So by the way, we have 4 tiers, and 4 tiers are with the for the consulting companies like of system integrators, WARs, MSPs. Yeah. So the link in the chat. Okay, I'm going to share with you where you can find your partners tier. Yeah. So what is the benefit of this tier is basically as your organization move towards the upper tier, like of register being the first one, then select, advanced, and premier, you get more benefits. Yeah, you unlock benefits for your business, for enabling yourself from the technical side, marketing side, selling side, a lot of benefits. So particularly, we talk about all those benefits in our business session, which I will recommend you to join in with. We are going to run one of them in coming weeks. Okay, so we have a lot of partners who have just joined the family of AWS as a registered partner. Welcome all of you to the AWS world. And since we have a lot of audience joined from the global system integrator like of Accenture, Deloitte, Tech Mahindra, or Wipro as well. So some of the companies comes under the advanced and premier tier, premier being the most prominent one with the global system indicators. So yeah, they can freely choose the premier one. Good. Okay. Thank you for sharing your feedback. So you can see on your screen, we had a healthy amount of people joined us from Register and Premier tier. By the way, so have you been working on AWS tools and services? If yes, please feel free to select any of the option down there. So you can also consider this as if in case you have been working with AWS big data analytics tools as well. So you can choose one of the option. So those who have just joined in, very warm welcome to today's session. We are going to begin very shortly. We are expecting a large audience, which we already have now. So we will begin in next 4 minutes. We're just getting to know each other and getting to know where are we at our journey with AWS. So 60% people have already voted. So guys, feel free to check one of the option here on your screen. If in case you are running the app, you need to minimize it. Good. By the way, I should put some options like more than 10 years since we have had our inception in year 2006. So it's been a princely 14 years now. We are running our cloud service operations, and in during that time we have launched around more than 175 services and different products in machine learning, AI, IoT, even for you to launch the satellite. And one of them is also now further with the 5G network. We are collaborating with the telcos to help developers to run code in a microseconds by putting the uh, coding environment, or basically the compute and storage, whatever you require nearby you in your telcos environment. So that's a wavelength. We are launching a new service. Would be very interesting for you to have a look onto that. So we have been resolving a lot of businesses and developers uh, problems with our enrich platform. And what we are going to cover today onto the big data analytics side, we also have a large amount of services, which from the point of ingestion of your data to process it, analyze it, and altogether to visualize it. We have the whole cycle we are going to discuss today as well. Good. So thank you for sharing your feedback in the poll. So I'm going to share the result of it. So those who are kicking off their journey today, for you, I will also at some point talk about some of the baseline understanding with the services. So yeah, we all can resonate. So we have a good diversity of audience today. So just this is a very last question. We will run it for only 1 minute. So very quickly you can click on it if in case you have any certification with you. So first being the cloud practitioner, and then move on. So by the way, we are not exhaustively going to talk about certification today, but very briefly, I'm going to talk about the one we are conducting today. So this session is not particularly going to help you with your examination, but we'll just give you an idea what are the services available you might need to go through once you are prepared for analytics certification. So we have certification, specialty certification, wherein we uh, we have special topics like of analytics, which has been renewed very recently. It used to have a name of big data. Now it's been a data analytics. Yeah. So yeah, so this is the one you can go for. And today's session is very much focused on the business side, how you can enrich your business from the big data analytics side of view. Yeah. So thank you for your feedback. I think we shall get started now. So we have a lot of people who are looking forward to appear for the one of the certifications. So guys, on 25th May, I'm running a session on cloud practitioner, which you can join in, which certainly will help you to understand the requirement, or basically what can you expect in your exam, the topics we are going to cover in that session in cloud practitioner. Feel free to register for that. Okay, with that, so it's a time to get started with today's session, and I am going to restart with my script. So I want to say thank you very much, all of you, for joining today's session. It is going to be a very interesting one with your presence. Feel free to put your questions in the question chat tab you might see on your right side. And yeah, so that's a small housekeeping. Today we are not recording this session, but nevertheless, we will share with you the deck we are going to present for your uh, reference. So myself, Pravesh Chopra, I am from AWS Training and Certification team, and I'm a part of Global Partner Training Organization, which has a sole responsibility to conduct enablement for our partners. So it's been around 6 months. I have been working with AWS as a partner trainer, and before AWS, I was working with SAP for amazing 6 years, and working very closely with partner ecosystem of SAP, and also it was also somewhere was a ecosystem of AWS, was like of Accenture, Wipro, and many other partners as a system integrators are working with SAP as well as with AWS. And we have seen a big movement in customers running their mission critical SAP workloads now onto the AWS. And we also have a session onto that one we ran yesterday and talking about what exactly. So what we are going to talk about today. So we are going to talk about the fundamental of data analytics. Yeah. So big data analytics is, as you know, often very complex process of examining the large and varied data sets, or we call it as a big data, to specifically uncover the information such as hidden pattern between the data, unknown correlations, market trends, customer preferences, which can help organizations to make informed business decision, and ultimately can create revenue out of them by building very specific apps, increasing the customer experiences, so and so on. Yeah. So on a broader scale, data analytics technologies and techniques provide a means to analyze data sets and draw conclusion about them, which will help organization to make informed business decision. Yeah. So business decision or business intelligence queries answers very basic questions about business operations and performance. On the other hand, big data analytics is a form of advanced analytics which involves complex application with element of such as predictive models, statistical algorithms, and many of what if analysis powered by very high performance analytic systems, which we are going to talk about as well. Yeah. So, what is the importance of big data and analytics in various ways, creating new revenue opportunities? Giving the example of Tinder, Netflix, Lyft, these are increasing the revenue by increasing the customer experience as well. Yeah. So at one of the blog I read about Netflix saves around 1 billion by and knowing their data very well, understanding the customer experiences, what they are willing to watch more based on that recommendation, which takes data to the next level, right? So, in the beginning, I want to say that big data marries very well with the machine learning, and we will see that today as well, how that happens. Yeah. So what else? Better customer experiences, improved operation efficiency, and you get a competitive advantages over the rivals, right, in the market. So many of the things which are uncovered by big data analytics, um, big data analyst, specifically data scientist or predictive modelers, statisticians are there to analyze growing volume of structured transactions data, not just structured data, but also untapped, unstructured data, which is often left, yeah, for the conversational BI analytics problem. So how you can touch on that untapped data as well is what is our mission as well. Yeah. So we will share what are the tools available and how that can be achieved. Yeah. So what data is, in short, uh, encompasses it's basically the mix of semi-structured and structured data, which is not tapped usually, which we will see using the data lakes, how you can touch upon that. Good. Okay. So what we are going to uncover today, which is the real question, is what kind of data analytics solution does your business need? Yeah. So no, I was just on my first slide, so I'm moving on now. I was just giving a view around what was big data analytics is formed of, and now I'm shifting my gears towards sharing with you the announcement at glance. So what does it talk about? Basically, in different verticals, we have shared and launched new services in our reInvent 2019. Guys who don't know what reInvent is, basically our yearly event wherein we launch a lot of we make a lot of new announcement around our platform, which we call it out as let the innovation at the platform side be our responsibility. So what we are covering as our responsibility in a different uh, verticals. So first being the analytics, which will be our prime. I'm not going to get through all of the services right now because to you might sound, to some of you might sound alien, because it's first time you might be going to hear about the services like of EMR, which is a managed Hadoop service, is now available on Outpost. So Outpost is basically our hybrid solution, or basically a solution for the on-premise where you get the hardware stack delivered, or basically what we use in our data centers, the racks of hardware, these compute and storage, shipped at your data centers or shipped at your locations where you can run everything on premise. And now with the capability of EMR, managed Hadoop services, so it is basically called as an extension of the cloud. And Redshift, which is a data warehouse, and many other things we have launched. And one now, this is one I want to call out for those who have been using Redshift for a very longer period of time. Now there is a RA3 with the as a managed storage available, where you can scale your storage and your compute in a independently. Yeah, so that's a new announcement. And Aqua is another one for making your data warehouse a little faster. And this one, I specifically, if you are in you are following AWS account on LinkedIn, Twitter, anywhere else, we have made an announcement yesterday itself. Our CEO Andy Jassy has tweeted it like we have now ultra warm available, which is a very cost efficient storage for all of your logs, Elasticsearch logs. As you know, analytics is somewhat a lot about saving, storing data for a very longer period of time. So we have a new service launched as a ultra warm. It is now going to make your storage more cheaper by 50%. Yeah. Okay, then there are a lot of others which I would leave it for your viewing pleasure. You can have it a look on that at later stage once we will share the deck with you. And there are a lot of new announcement we have made on the machine learning side. Once you are cleaning once you are done with the cleaning up data, formatting and encoding it, you can use a lot of services on the machine learning, which is available as a platform to run machine learning. Yeah. So we will share some of details in this session as well. As I talked about, big data marries very well with the machine learning. So yeah, so we are going to talk about some of them as well. So have a look on this, guys. Okay, so what are we going to cover today? We are going to cover the agenda. What is data in the modern age? Yeah, and the data flywheel we are going to use to discuss about the life cycle of managing the data onto the cloud. So guys, this is the agenda. Everything we will discuss today will be around the flywheel. Yeah, so what flywheel is, we will demystify sooner, but just follow the pattern during the session. And then we will dive deep into making an understanding why AWS for analytics, for the data lakes. Yeah, that's what we will cover here. Why specifically? So it is going to uncover why there is a dire need of tapping the data now, structure, unstructure, any sort of data, and further on why AWS specifically. And we will dive deep into the data flywheel. Here we will introduce it, and then we will dive deep understanding from the platform side. And then we will see, as being the business session, we will discuss about the use cases and how we are going to implement the big data in modernizing and consolidating maybe data centers because of a lot of different challenges on the cost side, management side, licensing, and there are many of them. Yeah, so we will cover them, and we'll see how big data and analytics is going to help you with innovating with the new revenues. And then is quick look onto the business problem to solutions, what exactly can be followed. And further on, call to action for all of us. Okay, so data in modern age. So it isn't an understatement to say that a day which won't go by when we are not discussing the digital transformation, right? Whether on Twitter, on LinkedIn, or any with the business peers. So we talk a lot about data. Yeah. So while there is a too much focus, which is often to put on the technology aspect of the digital transformation, of being digital, a key foundation and usually enabler for the digital age has to be data. So I took the example of Netflix, and if I share more data, so YouTube in itself, we have 4 million people at the same time per minute accessing it, 4 million. And I think right now we have 33 zettabyte of data. Zettabyte means around 21 zeros. Yeah. So by 2025, it is going to be moved to 125 zettabyte. So it's going to be a lot data. Yeah. So with that, I want you to have a look onto this slide and share your views. What do you see these companies have in common? What's one thing you would consider these companies have in common? You may use chat and question box for sharing your views. Pinterest, one of the platform for the artists to view very nice pictures. Lyft is like Ola in India. It's a basically uh, sharing ride services, and Snapchat. We all know Snapchat, right? So Tinder, Peloton, Samsung, NFL in the sport industry, and there is a gaming industry as well. So what is common? Yes, you actually uncovered very well. So there is a lot of data they work on, and very specifically, once they work on the data, they have prepared or created their applications, their solutions around the data, getting value from the data. So, like of Lyft, giving the good experience to the uh, all of the people who are using their services. Snapchat, Tinder, very specifically, if I call out, so they use your images to understand and getting the tags out of it. If I post a picture having a mountains at the background, I will be considered as a mountaineer, adventurous, and based on that, I will be getting the matches, right? So they also generate a revenue out of it by giving the premium services, which in itself is a big revenue for them. Yeah. So I usually wondered why Tinder having a lot of billboards in my city. Now I understood they are making a lot of money out of it. So Samsung also so from the startups to different industry, you can see they are using and getting a lot of value out of the data by making their applications more rich. Very specifically, we are going to cover the story of Fortnite today, which is a gaming platform using huge amount of data. In India, if I call out Oyo Rooms, Oyo, we all know Oyo Rooms also offer a property management system to their partners to manage the check-ins and check-outs and conduct price adjustment according to the demand. So knowing in the real time what's the user consumption is. And Byju's mobile app, which is right now we kids using a lot. So 15 million students using Byju's mobile app, and that's been driven by analytics on AWS. Yeah, so they're taking advantage of data warehouse on AWS, which is Redshift, fully managed data warehouse, to analyze app and website users' data. And ABP News, which is news network in India, very one of the largest TV network. They use big data, and many of other customers as well. So they use a lot of data to understand customers. Likewise, you can see on your screen as well. Yeah. And another one is the Shadi.com. Yeah, Shadi.com for matchmaking site that our an application is used for. They are using Elasticsearch service for rapid search of big data. So to call out some of the regional applications. So yeah, what is the common is they are leveraging the data to make a value out of it. And this slide is very prominent one since 2017 we have been seeing. So what it talks about is that data has surprised the value of oil. So you guys might argue in today's time, like now oil is little cheaper. I understand that, but yeah. So this is one of the report we had from The Economist magazine. So like data in the 21st century is like oil in the 18th century. So an immensely untapped, valuable asset. Yeah. So we are in a digital economy where data is more valuable than ever and is key to smooth the functioning of everything from the government to the local companies. It is considered that without understanding the data, progress will be halted. Like of FINRA, FINRA is one of the big, financial regulatory company. Yeah, so they use big data to catch the fraudsters more effectively by processing exabyte of data on the AWS. So exabyte is huge. Yeah, so Expedia uses it. Expedia is totally running onto the AWS and untapping a lot of data. PMS, Bristol Myers Squibb uses analytics to discover. So, in short, data has surpassed the value of oil. So it's now very important to understand your data, and you can see this slide now on your screen is actually telling the story over the period of years since 2001 to 18. So in 2001, I can see there is only one IT company, Microsoft, is there, which has been there except during the 2011. And yeah, and now by 2018, there is all our tech companies, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet, Berkshire Hathaway. So there is no all companies there, right? Which is considered to be usually the most important asset. So yeah, that's what it's talking about, the drastic change. And this one talks about there is more data than we ever thought of and we usually consider. So what is data? Big data is formed of the volume, huge amount of data, variety of data, from the social media to your structured data to your IoT, and coming from the IoT is machine learning, different sources. So a lot of data is coming in. Yeah, so it is said like in the last 2 years, the amount of data we have created is of equivalent amount of the data we had in the previous years. So altogether, so in the last 2 years, equivalent to the data we had since the beginning of internet. So you can imagine, so the data is being created at a very high velocity. Yeah. So and this increased day by day. Yeah. So the volume, the data that we are dealing with is also growing really faster, and that's what talked about in this particular section. So it is growing 10 times every 5 years. So typically your data lives for 15 years. Yeah. So data re-platform decision, which is usually taken, is done in 15 years. So if we do some calculation, that way we need to design a platform or data which will scale up to 1,000 times, right? 10 into 10 into 10. I think, if I'm not mistaken with my calculations. So yeah, that's like, if in case you have today petabyte of data, it is going to be exabyte of data in coming years. And exabyte of data, we can put many number of zeros there. Yeah, so this is one of the report from the IDC. There's a lot of reports down there which talks about the evolution of the data and many other things. And one of the aspect into that is that you need to build a platform that doesn't lock you down with the specific tools. In the last couple of years, we have seen a drastic launch of or coming up with the new tools to process, analyze, maintain, categorize of your data, like of Hadoop. It was not there 11 years before. Yeah, Elasticsearch 8 years, Presto. So it's a big family now we have. Yeah, so it's keep on adding new services. Like currently, data science has been using R and Python, and more recently now we have started doing it on MXNet, TensorFlow for the deep learning. So it's been changing at a very drastical and very higher frequency. So keep a count on that. Keep a try those services. Also an additional task to understand the services, if not as a managed service available. Many of you might be using Spark, Presto, and many other services. So more than ever, people now need access to data, mostly for reporting, which was the earlier scenario, right? A few years back. So for instance, the operations or marketing person would come to you usually and asking for a dashboard, right? And this has been changed now over the period of time. Now you have a data scientist, analyst, BI professional, and apps talking to each other using the APIs. Yeah, so it has been changed the way we had been working. So democratization of data is very important. The governance and control is very important now. Yeah. So application would need APIs and SDKs to share the information. So for that all matter, you need a secure governance structure in place for these users who are using for the reporting, for creating the apps, for everything. So it's a big question that how do we provide or democratize the access to the data to enable the informed decision while at the same time enforce data governance and prevent mismanagement of the data as well. It's a huge, large volume of data available. At the same time, it's a raw information available, which should not be get into the wrong hands as well. Yeah, so that's another reason we need to have a closer look onto the data and its governance. So what did we understand during this last 5 6 slides is basically there is a huge amount of data is there which needs to be tapped, managed, controlled in the best way, right? So with that, I introduce you with the flywheel. So before I launch the flywheel, so let me share a little background about it. It's it's it was by the way popularized by the author Jim Collins. So what this flywheel is, it is a self-reinforcing loop made up for the few key initiatives that would feed back and are driven by each other that will build a long-term business. Yeah, so some of the key valuation which will enforce all of your business to run itself in the long term way. So, what exactly in the early 90s, Jeff Bezos, I'm sure most of you know who Jeff Bezos is, specifically incubated this in idea in the Amazon.com that using Amazon flywheel, an economic engine will be used to growth and scale and improve the customer experience through greater selection and the lower cost. So that's a flywheel we used. He drew this flywheel over a napkin, creating that we will lower the cost for the customer, we'll have more customer means more product requirement, more sellers, something like that. And this whole self-propelling circle will keep on flying. But how do we, and by the way, we also have one flywheel with AWS, which I might have shared with you in my previous sessions as well. Like we have more customers require more infrastructure specifically helps with the more innovation, more optimization, and ultimately touching upon the economies of scales. Economies of scale is the economics methodology where we get uh, lower prices as compared to running your operation yourself. So once we lower the prices, because we hit on the economies of scale, lower the prices, more the customers, more customer, more infrastructure. So this is how the flywheel is. And now you must be wondering, how do we use this flywheel in the data cycle, right? So as mentioned earlier, the amount of data available to us is exploding because of people, because of devices are connected, IoT, and all sort of things, leaving behind a lot of digital footprints. So given the size of the data is being generated, you can no longer use traditional on-premise approaches to store, manage, and process the data at the scale it is needed. So the only place you can cost effectively and scalably store all the data is cloud, moving to the cloud. This is why hundreds of thousands of customers are moving their data and workloads to the cloud, which includes data storages, their databases, and their data warehouses. So this first step is to kickstarting your data flywheel is moving your data to data and workload onto the cloud. Why, you would ask? Because while it will make sense to keep some assets onto the on-premise, only the cloud would offer the scalability of like of S3, flexibility, adding a lot of compute as the requirement increases or decreases, and cost efficiently you need to achieve the self-sustaining moment, right? So that would be the first step in the flywheel. So once you save time and cost store and managing the more data, get a lot of other workloads onto it. So given how cost effective the cloud storage is, Companies specifically move their data to the cloud, end up saving a lot of time, cost, are able to store all of their data in the cloud. Given the savings, they can practically now keep all their data in the cost effective and practical manner. So this is one of the data is there, data about data. So 30%, 31% of the business side that lack of right skills set to manage and drive, excuse me. So 31% of business side like lack of right skill set of manage and drive maximum value out of the cloud investment as one of the top three challenges they have. So that goes away once you start moving, managing your data at a one place. Yeah. So requirement from the data driven applications are growing fast. A one size as fits all monolithic approach doesn't work anymore. While storing and managing the data efficient manner, equip further your developers to use that right database for the right job and build data driven applications. So that would be the third stage of the flywheel. Once you move your data, you start storing and managing the data at one place. Now it's a time to get value out of it, right? So one of few of the customers we talked about, and like of Tinder, Snapchat, Samsung, there is some other companies who are building their app very specifically for enriching the customer experiences, like Vicenza. So they create AI based app. So I think they have the customer Uniqlo. Yeah. So once you post your picture with your dressings already, it will understand your sense of fashion, what do you like to wear, and everything. Based on the AI, it will start recommending you what would you like to buy on the online platform. So yeah, so that's how you can enrich the customer experience. So once you are there thinking of building data driven apps, in addition to building scalable global distributed application, customers are also looking to get new and faster insights from their data stored in the cloud. Yeah. So forget about the silos between your analytics tools, traditional data warehouses, between the accessing the data, querying the data, everything. It is going to be away from the silos, right? So customers are looking forward to build data lake architecture. So as a fourth step, which is very parallel to the third and fourth, yeah, right? So we will talk about what data lake is. We will cover that part coming up, right? So data lakes, basically, just to give you a small glimpse about it, so it allows you to collect and store any data in its original format in one centralized repository. You might guess which service would be the baseline for it. Once I say a very cost efficient, faster, performant platform to save all of the data, they use S3 for that matter. So it will provide optimum scale, flexibility, and durability and availability of your objects down there. Yeah. And the best of all, it will help to make performing analytics on all of your data very faster and produce the smarter insights using data lakes. Yep. So once we are onto the data lakes, we have a lot of data moved on to the cloud on a very cost efficient way. What could be the next step? Let's move the next step really quickly once we have the data in hand, right? So once organizations start to build data driven apps and data lakes architecture running in the cloud, they can gain further insights using the machine learning and blockchain easily. Yeah, so many of the use cases. Certainly, we are going to cover the part of machine learning. How would blockchain experts can understand that? So, machine learning is going to provide another set of tools on one platform, which you can use to your building, training, and deploying the new models for inferences, for predicting what customers' requirements are, being upfront, enriching your applications. That's pretty cool. Very much you can do once you have things sorted onto the big data side. And obviously, once you have analytics done and blockchain and machine learning married together, you can further go for the new products, new business models, new customers, and more data. So, shall I go all over the flywheel? What exactly we have followed? So, we saved a lot of time, saved a lot of cost, and that brought us to make us more agile because everything is available on one platform at just a click away, trying new things on a very cost efficient manner, global distribution manner. Different teams can work on it. Once we are able to achieve that, building data lakes, you give a better experience, better engagement, efficient processes, you create new products. Once you have new products, new business model, new customer, what this ends up with, guys, more data. Once you have more data, this flywheel keeps on revolving, keeps on propelling itself. So that's what was the theme behind understanding what exactly meaning to move your data onto the cloud platform and how to consume each and every aspect of it. I'm hoping you all have followed me down there. If in case not, there will be another time we will be diving deep into this flywheel. Okay, so you might be asking why AWS for the data lake and very specifically for the analytics. So now we are going to dive deep into it. Yeah. So why specifically, why to choose AWS for analytics? So here you can see on your screen some top level points. So we will explore further through following this slide in the following slides. So AWS provide more comprehensive, secure, cost efficient portfolio of the services, which is enabling customer to easily build their data lake in the cloud and analyze their data with the broader set of analytic approaches, including what? Including machine learning. So as a result, there are more and more organizations running their data lakes now, more than 10,000 now. Yeah, around that, we have companies running data lakes onto the AWS, and more than anywhere else in the world, they are using AWS. Companies like Netflix, very non-name, Zillow, Nasdaq, Yelp, Finra, among those customers who are running data analytics uh, onto the data analytics and using data lakes onto the AWS. So let's dive deep into the most comprehensive platform. So what do you see, guys? So there's one question I could see, if how much technical part we would be covering. We'll be touching upon that, but not getting into technical discussions, how things are onto the technical side. But yeah, we'll certainly, if we are talking about data and analytics, we are going to talk about some of the technical aspects as well, along with the business. So, not specifically. So, we have a lot of databases available. We call it right tool for the right job. If your application requires SQL, relational databases, or application require NoSQL, or in-memory database, there's a plethora of choice available. And very specifically, inside Amazon, we have drank our own champagne by using this set of databases in-house, right? So we moved out of Oracle database, which we had been using since very long for different purposes, for data warehouse, for data operations, and many of other things. So there's a most comprehensive platform available for the databases. We will cover that part as well. And for the analytics, so I think we shall start from the point of ingestion, right? So rather than going directly to the database, we will follow along what exactly the cycle of the data analytics is, and data management is. Data movement to get the data in onto the AWS. Let's go the flywheel way. Data migration services, which is one of the tool which help to make transfer transition of your databases to the AWS cloud seamlessly without affecting your on-premise running workload. You can use DMS to migrate, even homogeneous or heterogeneous. Or what I mean by that, if you want to move from SQL to Aurora, which is basically open source supporting Postgres, you pretty much use migration services. Snowball, Snowmobile, basically hardware devices for you to move the data in a fraction of not fraction in a week time. So if you, let's assume you have 80 petabyte of data, 80 terabyte of data. If you want to transfer the data over the internet, or let's consider 100 mbps speed you have, it is going to take 3 months. For all those customers, you can use hardware prepared for just migrating the data. Kinesis data stream, we are going to cover data pipeline, many other tools to migrate the data to form the data lake where you house the data and you do the ETL. We will cover that. So most comprehensive analytics tools in machine learning tools, blockchain, managed blockchain available, a lot of marketplace tools available like of Databricks. There is Snowflake, anything you want to use is having the integration with AWS platform as well. And with that, there is a more secure platform as well. So as organizations face a growing number of data breaches, cyber crimes, and need to meet the compliances regulation like the GDPR and many others. So data lakes need to be protected with the highest level of security, which is given by the platform in the different verticals. Like for security, you have guard duty, shield, WAF for your web application. Messi is one of them I want to dig deep into, which helps you to identify the anomalies between your data. So it's a machine learning capable service. Helps to find out if in case you have a lot of data saved onto the S3, right? And by mistakenly, if any of the personal identifiable fiable information is considered into any data, Massive will help you to identify that and secure you. Machine learning capable. VPC altogether helps you to be very secure onto the cloud. Identity, giving a granular level access, zero trust, giving access to the right people only. SSO and many other, there's a lot of services. And one another thing which usually the concern from the customers when they house a lot of data, big data onto their storages, they want to put data at rest being encrypted. So onto the AWS cloud, there's a lot of services available for that purpose. You can even use cloud HSM, which is a very specific hardware for you to create your own keys. Yeah, no one has access to that. So yeah, encryption in rest, transit, and the compliance side. So guys, what we are talking about is the data lake, talking about the tools, talking about how it is going to help you. You inherit all the compliances, all the certification, attestation performed platform already. So like of HIPAA requirement, like of PCI DSS requirement, it's all been covered by AWS already. So you just bring your data, offloading those, high time consuming task already by AWS. You just have to focus on your data because it's already taking a lot of time of yours to getting value out of it. So why to bother you further with creating the compliances around your platform or something? So you as a partner can help your customer to migrate and perform the analytics onto the most secure compliant architecture or the platform available. So you can see many of the name you might have already required for your customers to be adhered to. Yeah, so most secure platform, most cost efficient platform for you to run your data lakes. And cost effective doesn't just mean the cheaper one. It means the customer can do more, be smarter about their spending, analyze more, store more data to get clearer picture today and for future questions too. So here are just example of how AWS offer value for the money. Like of S3 we have talked about is for the data lakes, having a different tiers. So the data which need to be archived, you can move it to the Glacier, so you are not paying a huge amount for that. And even for the Redshift, which is a data warehouse, you're just paying 0.25 dollar per hour for a data warehouse at a petabyte scale. It is an amazing, right? Only $1,000 per per terabyte per year. So it's a way cheaper or the cost effective solutions available onto the cloud. So according to the IDC white paper released last year in November, EMR very specifically going to provide 57% reduced cost of ownership and overall 342% 5-year return on investment as compared to the on-premise deployment. And these all are shared by the third party auditors, not just we are saying it. So yeah, a lot of benefits customer are getting moving their workload onto the AWS specifically for the analytics area. So for the compute, spot, and reserve instances are available to run your computational batch processing and all other things. Spot is like 90% uh, discounts available for you to run the run any of the batch processing compute or anything you can use it for. Okay, so with that, with a lot of benefits of moving to the cloud from the point of easy management, comprehensive tools available, now things boils down to how easy it is to build the things. And I want you to have a look onto this slide here. So some of the services which you can use to even build serverless architecture for your analytics. Nothing to manage onto the architecture side. Yeah. So serverless, zero infrastructure, zero administration, never pay for idle resources. You can stop using it whenever you want. Or even if in case you are using Lambda at some point, you don't need to pay. Or even if we talk about very specifically onto the analytics side, Athena is for querying the data, right? It's a serverless. If you are not querying your data for 1 week, you are not paying for service, right? You are not paying for anything. So that's the beauty of it. So it is all shown here is a serverless architecture. Here IoT is a very great example where an always on system provides the continuous sensor data, but the analytics is on demand and you pay for those services when you use them, right? Like of Athena, AIML, Glue. So whenever you're using it, you are paying for it. Okay, so there is a question. I can see how is the compute and storage separated? Can we have detailed explanation? So one way, if I say data lakes, S3, by the way, we will dive deep into that, Natsima, further on. So if in case you have used S3 to store all of your data only, and you want to run any analysis onto that, any compute onto that, or maybe using the EMR or any other service, or maybe using the Redshift spectrum to querying the data, analyzing the data, it is storage is altogether different onto the S3. You are not all the time is accessing it, right? So whenever you require to run the compute, you can go for that, right? Especially onto the Redshift in itself, which is a data warehouse, you can scale your compute independently as well of your compute, which we discussed about RA3. More to that in the coming slide as well. Okay, so with that, as mentioned earlier, there are more people running their data lakes and analytics onto the AWS than anywhere else. Yeah, so this includes customers like FINRA, Netflix, Nasdaq, Amazon.com. Yeah, so many of the customers you can see, Sling, Agero, Reddit. So just to name a few, one of my favorite is Funny or Die. So it is a media channel which is launch very nice videos. Yeah, so there's a lot of customers using data lakes, and in-house Amazon.com should be somewhere there using data lakes as well. Yeah, so Amazon, Netflix, very quickly to talk about them, they use Kinesis data stream to process multiple terabyte of logs each day. Yeah, and OLX, OLX, we very prominent name, yeah, leverages Amazon Redshift performance and innovation for best-in-class customer experience. They are creating with that. They are using a lot of services, and then there are more partners to help our customers. Some partners may ask, how do I stand out within so many partners? So I think the key here is to focus on what you do best. Develop your competency. Do you do find success within the certain verticals and use case? For example, analytics. We have a lot of partners in India which are working in the data analytics a lot. Yeah, it's helping a lot of customers like of Quantify, Cloudwick, Wipro, creating KYC platform for customers. Power Up. I'm sure a lot of attendees today have joined from the Power Up, which is now part of LTI. Kivios, Cloudwick, Sears, Blaze Clan, very specifically, BluePie in the machine learning as well. Lot of partners, lot of capabilities are there from our partners to help them to support them. Yeah. So Sears, like they have their own service called as a schema shift to help customers to move from one data warehouse to another one. Many of the customers are moving for Netezza, Teradata, and many others data warehouses, and a lot of partners have a lot of solutions for that. Okay, so with that, let's dive deep into the data flywheel, wherein we will talk about data lakes, we will talk about many other services, many of those things. Yeah, so with that, I think we can have a short break before we get into the flywheel. I will keep the flywheel on the screen for all of you to have a look onto that and make another uh, once again the understanding with that. What did I mean by having a lot of data, moving it, storing it, and then further building apps, new applications, and this keeps on revolving. So have a look onto that. Let's take a break for maybe 10 minutes, and then we will come back. Okay, so very soon we will put timer on the screen. Thank you, and we'll be back in 10 minutes. And I will keep three for the first 3 minutes the flywheel on the screen, then we'll bring the timer back. Catch you guys. Okay, so we are back. Let's now move on with the next portion. So, guys, what a quick recap what we have done so far. So, those who have just joined in, it would be good for them to also understand. We have covered that data is being the most essential part in a lot of industries, and it's being increased. It's been produced in a massive amount. Nothing new to tell, but yes, it is. And to manage that, you require a good set of tools, platform, and a uh, good methodology. So for that, we have created a flywheel, which is specifically for the data and how do you get value out of it has been discussed. So specifically moving first things onto the cloud, around getting the benefits of time and saving a lot of cost. You move on managing things at one place and leveraging a different platforms, different tools. We have seen initially, like in the previous 11 years, there are bunch of new tools, open source tools also been launched, like Spark, Hive, and Presto, and many of them. Yeah, so just to name few. So having those capability on a managed platform is a changer there. So with that, you get more value out of data. So you are capable of building data driven apps, building data lakes, which we are going to cover many things about that. And with that, you use machine learning, new customers. When you give good experience, obviously, customer increases. When customer increases, you get a more data, you get more input. And what to do with more data, guys? We know what to do with more data. And now with services, we are going to get into that, how to do things when the data is more than we have expected. So with that, first part is to, what was that? Move. Let me bring that slide. Move data and workloads to the cloud. And one thing to start with, I'm hoping you are also guessing the right thing, is the database. Right. So what's wrong with the old guard commercial databases? Yeah. So many of existing applications are built on legacy databases, like of using, I want to name it, but yeah, so Oracle, or could be uh, Teradata, and many of them, right? So customer have had to deal with all of those old guard databases that provides that are, by the way, very much expensive, proprietary, have high lock-in, punitive licensing. And what does it mean by you have got a mail is exactly as you know. Recently, last year, I think, Oracle made an announcement. If in case Oracle customer move to Microsoft or Amazon, specifically on AWS, if they move on to that their platform, they are going to double the prices. So yeah, customer doesn't want it. They don't want to be locked in. They want to be threatened at some point. So with that, customers are now looking forward to move to open source databases like of MySQL, PostgreSQL, MariaDB. Yeah, just to name few. So yeah, customers are willing to move it. Overall total cost of ownership for open source database such as enterprise database or Postgres is considerably very low as compared to the customer database, commercial databases, consequently reducing the database licensing cost as well. And secondly, digital initiatives such as mobile analytics and social platform must process large amount of data, specifically large amount of unstructured data in a scenario like open source database can provide them, right? So they want to get out of those punitive terms and moving on to the open source. But thing is that they want performance and reliability of commercial grade. How to achieve that? They want that performance with their open source databases as well. Yeah, so getting the same performance on the open source databases as you get commercial database is difficult. So what we have done this at Amazon.com. We had done a lot of tuning on our services to provide the commercial scale performance. Yeah. So customer can move their open source databases at on AWS will give them the commercial grade performance, prices, freedom, and flexibility of open source databases. Right. I'm sure you might have guessed it. The service I was going to talk about is Aurora, which is something sound like a Punjabi surname as well. So Aurora is, by the way, is MySQL and Postgres compatible relational database built for cloud. When I say built for cloud, we have this as our I would say this is our brainchild. So we have created this database from all of the aspects, from scalability, from performance, from the cost, which is the most importantly customer are looking for in. So let's dive deep in now first one by one. So performance and scalability, it is 5 times more throughput as compared to the standard MySQL managed by the customers themselves onto the AWS, 3 times as compared to the standard PostgreSQL. So these are all benchmark we have created and available for you. Yeah. So scale out option is available 15 read replicas. So what is most important for the analytics? To read the data, right? So for that matter, we have option of creating 15 replicas, read replicas to be very specific in different geos. Yeah. So not to disturb the transactional data, Aurora. At the same time, you want to run any of the analytics, you can get it from the read replicas. Yeah. Availability and durability, it's a fault tolerant. It's self-healing storage. If in case something goes with the underlying storage, it has a 3 or 6 different, it's in the pairs. That's why I'm using um, 6 copies of data across 3 availability zones. It's always available there. So self-healing, fault tolerant, multi-availability availability zone. It is available for giving you the high availability. Continuous backup to the S3 is available, which is the most durable available storage we have. Highly secure network isolation with the help of VPCs, encryption at rest and transit. And it is at the cost of 1/10 as compared to the customer commercial grade databases. 90% lower cost to run your relational database on AWS and compatible with MySQL and Postgres. So in to sum it up, it is a managed service first of all. So you don't have to take care of backups. You don't have to take care of management onto the. There is some point in time recovery required. Auto scaling is also considered with Aurora serverless. So if you want to go serverless, Aurora has a serverless option. Yeah. So Aurora is usually the first choice for the relational customers running the relational databases once they move to the cloud. Yeah. And next being the Redshift. And what Redshift is, it's the most popular cloud data warehouse with over 15,000 customers, including McDonald's, Entity.com of 21st Century Fox, and Hilton Hotels, Cisco Foods, many others, and few of them I took name as well, like of Oyo Rooms, Byju's, and many other customers, Indian customers. This list goes on along and long. Yeah. So customers choose Redshift because it is the fastest data warehouse available and cost less to run any alternative, and easily integrates with the data lakes as well. So someone asked about the difference between the data lakes and data warehouse. We'll come to that certainly, but it is just to give you a concept here. It is also integrated with the data lakes, as you can see on your screen. Yeah. So with concurrency scaling, Redshift maintains its high speed even under the highly concurrent workloads, just to scale to handle virtually unlimited concurrent users. Yeah, it is considered 10 times faster performance to the customer over the last 2 years of period. It's been achieved by Redshift data warehouse. Yeah, so it is similar to Aurora, is at the 1/10 of the cost of the traditional data warehouse, and is up 75% cheaper than other data warehouse providers. Like so, um by the way, customers are not specifically looking forward to move to Redshift for the purpose of uh, reducing the prices. That's one of them, and that's the major one, I would say. But another one is to modernize their data warehouse. So customers moving out of Oracle, Teradata, Vertica, and to name few, Greenplum as well. So they move their data warehouse to modernize their data warehouse with the Redshift. On the performance side, if I put more numbers, it is 2 times faster than Snowflake's, 2 times faster than Azure SQL data warehouse, and 10 times faster it was 2 years ago. So yeah, it's been now uh, it's been improved a lot. It's been using machine learning in itself as well to improve the performance. Yeah. So remember I talked about you can have 1 terabyte. You can spend 1,001 terabyte per year using the Redshift as well. So next one is the Athena serverless service. So you have a huge amount of data, true. So how do you query that data? For that, you have a serverless service named as Athena on a one platform. So this is a interactive query service that will make it easy to analyze data in Amazon S3. Yeah, using the standard SQL. Why we have considered Amazon S3 as a storage? We'll come to that as a part of our uh, data lake as well. So it's a serverless, nothing to manage. So you are going to uh, you can just focus on your data, focus on your ETL work. Yeah. So and then for querying the data, it's Athena there. It's a built on Presto, so something you are already aware about, none of, so you can use that. So interactive performance and even for the larger data set. Yeah. So what does that mean? Like you can run a lot of queries at a point of time, and you are just going to pay as you go. So pay per query is this is created on. So with Amazon Athena, you pay only for the queries that you run. You are charged $5 per terabyte scanned of your queries. $5 per terabyte. So you can save up to 30% to 90% on your per query cost and get better performance by compressing, partitioning, converting your data into columnar formats as well. So Athena queries directly onto the Amazon S3, and there is no additional storage charges beyond S3 for the Athena. As you would go on, you will uh, you will pay for it. So serverless does mean you do not have to manage the Presto's management or whatever required to query your data. You do not require to manage that infrastructure. So that's what serverless is about. And yeah, one point I should not miss on to that. Uh, it is also integrated with the Glue. So Glue is our ETL serverless Glue ETL service, which we will cover next. Then you might also get a more information onto that. So EMR, so very prominent, very famous service in AWS is EMR. A lot of customers are using it. Yeah. So as mentioned, we have more than 10,000 data lakes deployment, and centric to the data lake design pattern is ability to manage big data with Hadoop, Spark, that would solve many of this problem like of ingestion, transformation, curation, machine learning, and advanced reporting. So for that matter, EMR is our enterprise grade Hadoop Spark managed service empowering business researchers, data analysts. Now, so you can easily process and analyze large amount of data. So it's a managed Hadoop and Spark service. So EMR solves complex technical and business challenges such as clickstream and log analysis, fraud detection, and many more, like of genomes research, real-time analytics as well, used for the EMR. So creating the new revenue streams and data monetization. So EMR, as remember, I shared a fact with you, like EMR provides year saving of in a 1 year saving of 57% as compared to the on-premise Hadoop managed, and over the 5 years, over 300% return of investment. Yeah. So even the Gartner has a report onto that EMR is the largest Hadoop provider in terms of revenue and user based. It's very easy and very lower cost management tool. Yeah. So it's, by the way, EMR is more than 19 open source projects are available, like Hadoop, Spark, HBase, Presto, Hive. Many of them are managed there. So every month we update with the newer patch release or version release of EMR of any of the Hadoop service. Yeah. So customer uses it, and with that we have a customer study as well. So case study on this, Equinox Fitness. It's a company which basically integrated the luxury and lifestyle offering centered for the movement, nutrition, and regeneration. It's a uh, workout chain, gym chain, or fitness. By the way, uh, chain is Equinox is. So Equinox has built their connected experience using the application that connects to their Apple Health, their Apple Watch. Consider it as an IoT and an app giving the data, collecting their exercise data all day with the equipments, like of gamifying these cycling machines, cardio machines, that experience given to the customers. So what they did, they recently migrated to Amazon Redshift, which now costs them 1,000 between 1,000 to 5,000 dollar per year on reserve instances. So they have combined their data from the different sources, like of clickstream data, cycling logs, club management software they have, and data from the software that enhance their services as well. So like of Redshift through ELT process Maximilian. So we'll see that. So they are using the data lakes and analytics onto the AWS, and they have faster reports now available with 80% savings. So their now monthly Amazon Redshift bill is and gaming, Warner Brothers, travel and hospitality, Hilton is using it, healthcare, Philips, many customers are using it. with the IoT and wearables like of TiVo, Fitbit as well. It's a very prominent name. Fitbit uses it, and Desk.com for the SaaS solution, and for the social, Yahoo using it. Yeah, so many different industries using these all services. So with that, it's not just data; it's the workloads to move. So customer want to lift and shift their databases and analytics workload to the cloud. So guys, in our flywheel, first step was to move, right? So considering the relation databases, if your customer has a requirement to move from their expensive proprietary Oracle or SQL Server database to Amazon Aurora, they can pretty much do it using the DMS, using the uh, using SCT. So SCT is schema conversion tool, part of DMS. Yeah, so there are options. 6 database engines are available: Oracle, SQL, MySQL, Postgres, MariaDB. So once you move the workload, you are in the cloud. If in case you want to remember right tool for the right job, so might your application require no SQL databases. If you are already running your MongoDB and want to move to the cloud to gain the benefits of scaling, availability, we have DocumentDB, which is compatible with the MongoDB APIs. Or either you can choose DynamoDB, which is one of serverless offering from AWS for the NoSQL databases. NoSQL for documents and as well as key value pair. And for Cassandra, we have a managed Cassandra database, Cassandra and HBase. And Elastic Cache is there for the in-memory database. For Redis and Memcached, you can go for that as well. Yeah. So what I will do, I will very quickly go to the console and showcase all of the databases available so you can have a look onto that too. So data warehouses from the Teradata, Oracle, and Microsoft SQL, you can move to the Redshift as even if it's the Netza. There is a, by the way, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. So there is a, some call it Netiza and Netza. So I can share with you the whole case study, how exactly the migration customers have achieved moving their Netiza to the Redshift. There is a whole blog onto that, which I would love to share with you. Yeah, and that for the Hadoop and Spark managed platform, you shall move to the EMR, which is a managed service, web-based managed service available. And one part we have not covered, was not in of the slides, but we certainly can talk about it. ELK in itself is a lot of work to manage the whole operations onto the log side, right? So managing the whole stash from the Elasticsearch log stash to the Kibana, it's a lot of investment. I remember working on this in my previous organization. Uh, we took a huge amount of time. So for that, we have Elasticsearch service, which is managed ELK stack for massively operations onto the logs and search you can do. So that's a Elasticsearch managed service available. And QuickSight for BI. For BI, you can use if you are on BA Business Object, SAP Business Object, MicroStrategy, or Tableau can be moved to for visualization onto the QuickSight. So a lot of services are available to migrate your workloads onto the cloud. So customers want to move their on-premise BI tools very specifically, they can go for the QuickSight to save a lot of cost. Okay, so there is a question, when will have QuickSight in India? Okay, I need to check that. I don't remember if it's been launched or not yet, but yeah, if in case it's there, I'll share with you. Okay, guys, so now first step has been considered, right? We have moved all of our data. Yeah, so next one is to store and manage all of the data. And this is not it. Next one is how do you get value out of data so on a different shelf life. Yeah. So as we all know, data has a shelf life. The value of the data diminishes significantly over the time, meaning that the faster you get the insights, the higher the value is. So certainly uh, does not diminish the value or importance of the data lake or the data warehouse, but it does mean that many critical use cases, if faster or even a real-time analytics capabilities are required. So real-time analytics is analysis of data as soon as data becomes available in the real time. In other words, if I say to get users, so users get insights or can draw conclusion immediately or very, very rapidly after the data enters the system, right? So real-time analytics allowing businesses to react without any delay. For example, you getting a text message once you get a money out of your account for saving you from if in case any fraudulent action has taken place. So that's one of the small example. Yeah. So why it is so we can seize the opportunity and prevent problem before they happen. By comparison, batch style analytics may take hours or even days to yield the results. Consequently, batch analytics applications often yield uh, only after the fact, lagging indicators, BI, like a lot of time it does take. So yeah, MPP, there is a question, how much successful DMS for MPP migration? MPP is for massive parallel processing. Rather, you recommend datometry or next pathways. So, Arvindo, onto that, let me take this question in our next week. I'll figure out there are some of the things I need to look into. Yeah. So, we'll try to answer that in best way possible. Yeah. So, I have kept this your question in the parking lot. We'll get back to on this. Okay. So, with that, as we talked about the real-time analytics, real, for example, real-time credit scores, helping financial institution to decide immediately whether to extend credit, CRM, maximizing satisfaction and business result during each interaction with the customer for detection at point of sale. And these are the some of the examples, right? So milliseconds like messaging between microservices. One of the example is one of the taxi provider using for the real-time location. Yeah. So or response analytics for web mobile notification we get on our mobiles. Log ingestion for log ingestion and monitoring. IoT device management. Minutes, for example, this goes up to the in the seconds. It does take time, and in the going on to the minutes, streaming ETL into data lake, delivering data into the data lakes and warehouse via ETL. So those can be considered the real-time analytics use cases, and goes up to the minutes as well. So to be immediately useful, real-time analytics applications should have high availability and low response time. They should also be able to handle large amount of data at the same time, up to and including the terabytes of data streaming in at very fast and higher velocity. So, yet what they need is to return answers to the queries within just seconds. So that's what the real time means. Yeah. So handling changes of data sources which may spring up as market and business factors also changes. In short, okay. In short, they should be also they should also handle the big data in real time, big data analytics as well. So, what are the common challenges faced in the industry? You can see they are very difficult to manage, difficult to set up, tricky, very much tricky to scale, and also very complex to integrate into the broader ecosystem, very much error prone and complex to manage over the time, as it can become very expensive to maintain as well. So these challenges have often been enough for a reason. Many companies shy away from such projects as well. So at AWS, it has been our core focus over the last 5 years to build a solution that removes these challenges. Yeah, so should be very much easy to set up and use instead of cumbersome, provide you high availability and durability, default being into across the three regions, many of the services, fully managed and scalable, reducing the complexity of managing the system over time, scaling as the demand increases, elastic in nature, for example, Elasticsearch, log analytics, Redshift, warehouse, Lambda, serverless processing, and seamless integration with other services with pay as you go offering. So for the streaming, we have a service called as Kinesis. Yeah. So Amazon Kinesis makes it all easy to collect, process, analyze real-time streaming data so that you can get timely insights in a matter of seconds and react very quickly to the new information. So what does Kinesis offer is very cost effective process streaming data at any scale, like terabyte of data. And you have a very much of flexibility with it to choose the tool that best suits the requirement, even if it is within a second, or you can have at least a minute or some time for you to process it, but at least in the range of real-time analytics. So we have a lot of customers using Kinesis for that purpose. So there are three flavors you can see. In fact, there is a fourth one is about managed streaming using the Kafka, which is prominently used already in many of the industries. So we have a managed service for Kafka as well. Yeah. So Amazon Kinesis data streams helps you to capture and store the data streams. Yeah. On to the other hand, data analytics to help you to run the analytics in the real time using SQL and Java. So at the time data is being loaded in, you can run the queries in the real time. Built-in services available for you. And onto the Firehose, as the name suggests, load streaming data into the streams, data lakes or warehouse. Further, it housing the data, right? Firehose is about keeping the data. You can effectively conduct the ATL on continuous and high velocity of data using the Firehose. And in data streams, as someone asked about it, shard the data, keep the data into the streams, and then you process on top of it and send the result across. Yeah. So different purposes, many customers are using it, and there is a fully managed service for the Apache Kafka as well, which is open source framework for the data streaming. I'm hoping many of the customers are already using it. Yeah. So this supports either customer managing their cluster onto the on-premise or to the EC2 as well, can be done. So for you, clusters are set up automatically and can be created or turned down on demand whenever your demand decreases as well. So that's a benefit of elasticity with the managed streaming onto the Kafka as well, onto the AWS. So this is what for you to easily collect, process, and analyze data in the streams in the real time available. So what is going to help us to real-time analysis? So with that, we have another customer story here. The Fortnite. How many gamers are there? So we have one of the biggest customer or biggest gamer provider as well around the world is the Epic Games, using AWS, all of their analytics and data lakes running onto the AWS to help scale it up to 125 million players running onto the Fortnite. And what they process is 92 millions event per minute. And per month, their data is growing 2 petabytes. So huge data they are processing on AWS using multiple services. Actually, there is a very nice video onto that, which their some leader is presenting onto the reinvent. I will highly recommend you to have a look onto that. So but some information around it, what Fortnite is basically free to play platform is to, and its revenue basically coming entirely from in-game microtransactions happening, meaning its revenue basically depends upon continuously capturing the attention of gamers through new content and continuous innovation they are running in their app. Yeah, so creating the whole leaderboard, they are running a different uh, championships, and us having a lot of users to buy coins, something. Yeah, that's how they keep their revenue based on their customers' experience. So when we talk about data is being used to create revenue, that's one of very good use case around that. So they had a little bit of challenges. They needed to create constant feedback loop for the designers, which they did using this architecture. Yeah. So game clients, game servers, launchers, and game services getting data into the Kinesis. From there on, they are building two real-time pipelines using different services. You can see they are using maximum services they could. Spark onto the EMR, they are running EMR, ETL jobs, DynamoDB they are using for storing, Grafana for the visualization, they are using for the scoreboard APIs and many others. Yeah. So for the real time, first they use EMR, DynamoDB, Grafana, scoreboards to do real time query for the batch processing. On to the other hand, you can see they store everything onto the S3 as a data lake. Yeah. And on top of S3 data lake, they are running a large EMR cluster for the bulk of their data processing. Yeah. So they use it for the using the data for the service health, managing the tournaments, KPIs, deeper gamer analysis. So yeah, more to that I will talk about uh, talk about I would recommend you to watch this video where it is all explained this architecture as well, and very nice video. So yeah, I will share with you. So now we are on to the third stage in terms of our flywheel, which is basically to build the data driven apps. How companies are making use of data stored and managed, hence building bringing insights into the data. Let's look into some of the example. Yeah, so Arvindo, there was a question. EMR is a batch compute. Yes, if you see, they have two pipelines. One for the near real-time pipeline. This is for the batch pipeline they have created. So that's why you can see the EMR down there. Yeah. So video will help all of us to get more details into it. Yeah, I will share that with you. Okay, so modern apps created the new requirements. For modern app, the application requirements are drastically changing. As we know now, not one size fits all approach goes. Yeah, for using a relational database as the only data store doesn't work anymore. So like even if a taxi provider has an app which use multiple databases for their financial managing the hooking it up with the different payment engines, storing the user's information, they might use relation databases, right? On to the other hand, to locating users information, they can use something which helpful with the geo information, geospatial information, spatial information, and altogether for booking a cab, knowing the location and everything, they can use a NoSQL and different type of databases. So we call it right tool for the right jobs. So the requirements are drastically changing. So same with the application like ERP, CRM, e-commerce needed relation database to long transactions and stored structured data typically in the GBs and occasionally TB in the size, right? So that's been changing the whole data volume as well. And they want to scale globally as well in a different geos to put the data and process the data and getting the data from the customers. So performance required from the millisecond to the microsecond. Request rate is in the millions, like we have seen one of the customers. Fortnite Access is on the multiple resources, new applications that have social, mobile, IoT, global access requirements provide a new set of requirements. So these applications need the database to store from TBs to petabytes of new data types and provide the access with the millisecond latency to process millions of requests per second, and obviously anywhere in the world as well. So a lot of customer we will see now some of the case study, those who have achieved it. So one of the customer is NFL. How many are there? Baseball, uh, not baseball exactly. So we have one another customer, MLBM, which is also using our services. So this one is the uh, rugby. So not called as a soccer as well, but not so famous in India. But yeah, just to tell you, NFL, all of us have heard about. So they have a yearly one event as well, which is also powered by AWS totally. Uh, yeah, so NFL is America's largest sport organization with more than 180 million fans worldwide. So they they are using AWS very incredibly to help the get a lot of user fans attraction as well. So what NFL uses is AWS to track scale, speed, and complexity of the data onto the AWS. They are using AI and machine learning to build on AWS and generating new insights into player injuries, game rules, equipments, rehabilitation and recovery as well. So we had there one of the leader presenting in our internal event. They talked about how they are using uh, technology to help player to get to mitigate the challenges of injuries. So as you know, it's a very intense game at some times. So they put RFID tags on play shoulder pads and also the game ball to capture and store a lot of data to understand the nuisance around it using the EC2, S3, and MR. Running the analysis, real-time data combining with the traditional box score data they have over the 100 years, you know, all data to create machine learning applications for them. So yeah, so they are using a lot of different services uh, for that matter, and they are using quick site dashboard, which is allowing users to quickly drive stats based on the number of different criterias of their ways they are using it, how likely they can catch the ball, and how much unlikely it is. So it's a very nice video onto that as well. So whole page we have dedicated to the NFL. So more information you can find onto this URL is aws.amazon.com/NFL. They are using a lot of services like of distributed services of Lambda, Elastic Cache, QuickSight, AI machine learning, how they are using it. So I would share this link with you so you can find more insights into it. Next one is the Zalora. So Zalora is like Jabong in India. So they are famous in ASEAN region a lot. They're also using SAP to run on AWS. So what else they are using? They are running their website onto the EC2 instances. Yeah, so which climbs from the baseline of 5 to 40 to instances at some point of time, or spiking up to the 100 instances when they are on the peak time, some sales are going on. So what they are doing, they are running S3 for the static assets to keep their all data, and RDS for highly scalable primary database, and using the Snowflake schema there, yeah, which is linked to well-known ETL tools. So they use business reporting across all the function using the Redshift for data warehouse, for the retail reporting, for the merchandise planning and monitoring the retail KPIs. So in the retail in e-commerce platform, they are using a lot of uh, Redshift inputs to get the data tracking of their customers. Yeah, so using the clickstream data from the tracking tools and many of other tools. So they are also using the other tools like of domain name services like Route 53 and SES to reset the passwords, and many other tools they are using it onto the AWS for processing the data. And another one onto the different side of companies. I took this company's example before as well, how they are building data driven apps using search and image recognition solution to recommend visually similar items to the online shoppers, either onto the e-commerce, social media, or video network platforms. So many of their customers are using their solutions, AI-driven solutions like of uh, uh, Uniqlo and many of other customers, which is running onto the DynamoDBs and many other tools they are using from the AWS. There is a whole case study. I'm just leaving it for you to have a look onto that. So all challenges they described what they used to resolve those challenges. So I think with that, I can share these case studies with you. In this time, we can have a break and you can have a review onto these case studies as well. And first one, I will share the NFL one, which is one of my favorite. And then we will move on to a very famous topic of today. Has been asked a lot of question onto the data lake architecture. What exactly differentiation between the warehouse and onto the data lake side as well. Okay, so let's have a break. And since we are completed 2 hours of our session, let me share with you some of the links and also put the timer for our break. Okay, catch you back in 10 minutes. Okay, everyone, welcome back. I hope you have had a good break. You did some of the moment. And okay, so now we are going to dive into our fourth stage of our data flywheel. So I'm hoping you are following along. So just to give a quick recap, we moved. First step was to move your data. For which purposes? To getting out of punitive licenses and getting the performance of the commercial grade on open source databases. Move to the cloud. There are a lot of choices, and then managing things at one platform. Either it's a requirement of batch processing, or it's a requirement of querying the data in real time and ingesting the data in the real time. From there on, we started building the apps very specifically. I shared some of the links with you, which talked about case study in details. More than I did explain, would have those case study will help you to understand how they were using big data analytics and AWS tools as a platform. Then from there on, since we are onto the cloud, why don't take benefit of the data lakes? But the big question comes, why the requirement came, and what exactly the big data, what is the data lakes are, and what was before that. Yeah. So as we all know, how we turn the was relational database, and we are using SAP, Teradata, many of others, right? So it was running through a relational data warehouse wherein it collects data from multiple source systems and produce operating reports, any operational reports. The method of analytics had a few of characteristics like of optimized for relational data sources, or could scale up to petabytes, required the question to be answered prior to the data warehouse design, because schema had to be created to know what type of data loaded into the data warehouse. It's a very fixed sort of thing. Yeah. The schema and had to be created before. Yeah. And enable operational reporting on top of the data in the data warehouse using different tools, like one of we have in the AWS BI tools like of QuickSight, and using Tableau and many of others like of SAP's tools, business objects and all such. So that's been data warehouse. Yeah. So but there have been a lot of different other attributes of it. In other terms, very expensive to set up and operate, and most data warehouses systems are complex to set up, lot of manpower, cost millions of dollars in upfront software and hardware expenses, and can take months in planning, procurement, implementation, and deployment processes. After you have made the initial investment and set your data warehouse up, you have to hire a whole team for the database administrations to keep your queries running fast, and obviously, as seen in the morning, early morning, that you have to protect it against the data loss. Yeah. So very difficult to scale. At the same time, as the data volume grows, you want to make more analytics, more reports available to more users. You have to choose between accepting slow query performance or investing time and efforts on expensive upgrade process. A lot of trade-offs need to be made there. And unable to handle variety of the data is available is minimized there. Yeah. So information source such as devices, videos, IoT sensors, and more results as it is increasing volume of the unstructured data often hides a lot of useful insights is sometimes difficult to manage, right? So yeah, need a additional initial capex investment for compliances and security as well, like industries such as healthcare and financial services have a very sensitive data required data warehouses to be compliant with those requirement of ISO, HIPAA, FedRAMP, and many more. Yeah, which adds basically the burden of IT to ensure that sensitive customer data is encrypted in all states, in rest or even in the motion. So that's been the traditional way of managing it. And on the other hand, customer needs what is basically capture and store new non-relational data at EB scale. EB scale means exabyte scale. Customer wants to store new non-relational data that is being sourced by different places, not currently in the data warehouse. That includes machine generated data, IoT devices, log files, social media, clickstream data, all those of data. So new sources of data are being generated that can scale up to exabyte, right? So customer wants to have a single view of all of their data. They want an easy way to catalog it, search all of the data to do analytics on top of it. Yeah. So also to do new types of analysis on their data, like machine learning, big data processing, and real-time analytics, customers are increasingly needed to do new types of analytics. Yeah. So that's all been not done in the traditional way. For that, we need data lakes. Add one platform for storing all of your data, central repository, which will allow you to store massive amount of data into a central location. So it's readily available to categorized, processed, analyzed, and consumed. All of the category of analytics is being covered down there, having a central repository for storing everything, structure, unstructured, and helping customers to turn their data into strategic asset that will getting the old data into the AWS, consolidated and stored onto the S3 as a foundation. Once it is done, once they have the foundation at the data lake on the S3, they will bring a wide variety of compute analytics tools that can tools to process the data and increase the value and relevance of their business and providing significant uh, downstream impact by purchasing additional AWS services. Yeah. So yeah, you can see on the picture as well. So data lakes is formed at one place. You can run the analytics, real data movement, ingestion, on-premise data movement as well, machine learning analytics on top of it. Further on, how data architectures looks like. Hoping already you have a sight now that data lakes are consisting of S3. So, but at AWS, it's a little different. Yeah, it has S3. Yeah, so data lakes are on AWS different, which allows you to collect and store any data at one centralized repository in its original format as it was received. Yeah, so it can ingest any type of data as is without converting it to predefined schema. So you no longer need to know what question you want to ask the data beforehand. Yeah. So with this, with much more operating experiences you gain, and scale much broader set of features and capability available to process on top of it. Many of the services you can run, which we have even discussed earlier as well, like of Kinesis, of Elastic Search, and many of them. So there is a few reasons why Amazon S3 is the world's most popular cloud storage platform for data lakes. Is because of its durability, its pricing, and its granular access to the resources as well. So with that, you can use any type of analytics to run onto the data lakes, which is storing data onto the S3, from operational analytics to visualization to data warehousing, interactive query, big data processing, real time on one data storage, which is onto the S3. So any guesses? Let's start with first operational analytics. Which AWS service we can use from the retrospective analysis to the predictions? What is what's your guesses? Let me get back to the question. Any guesses which service would be here for the operational analytics? Good, good. Yeah, right answers. There are few of them answers are coming in. Might most of you might not have a view onto that. We will still uncover that. And other one, visualization. That's easy one. Someone asked about the question on this, like when we will going to have it in India, which I need to have a look onto that. And data warehousing, okay, easy peasy. So that's the whole discussion been like for 15 minutes. Interactive query is anyone? Athena, yeah. Athena is the right answer. Okay. So now we are under the big data processing. I don't want you to get it wrong, guys. We have seen Fortnite, how they were using in the batch processing. Yes, those are three magical letters. IEMR. Real time analytics. Yeah, very innovative name is there. Firehorse. Kinesis in short, yeah. Okay, so recommendation, there is something available. By the way, recommendation engine, we also have one deep learning service. So let's leave it that there, and then predictive analysis, which is we're going to talk next. Predictive analysis, you want to create your own. Yes, Aurobindo, you have the right answer. So personalized and focused recommendation there. But now we are on the predictive analysis, so you can use very much of SageMaker. Okay, so any guesses onto the data lake side? Oh yeah, you don't need any guesses. But yes, someone asked answered it pretty good with the lake formation as well. We are going to cover that. Okay, so let's uncover. You are all right. So few of them answered it Elasticsearch service, few of them RDS, other services. It's Elasticsearch. So you can see here the plethora of services can run on data lake to access the data. Yeah, so that's the beauty of data lake. So someone if ask about the differences between data warehouse and data lakes, you can put all of structured, unstructured data at one place, specifically semi-structured as well. Then from there on, you can process the data. And data warehouse, you have very constructive schema of data available. Yeah, so that's a huge difference. And even you can run data warehouse queries on top of S3. S3 houses a lot of unstructured data, and I think I don't want to get it wrong. I think only 2% of industries are uh, able to make most out of their untapped data, which is unstructured data only. 98% of organizations are not even have a view onto their unstructured data. So that's where you need a solution like of data lake where you have housed everything down there, not just limited to one data warehouse. So Amazon Redshift uses Spectrum to query the data in any format, Parquet or whatever format is there. So you can use that for that matter. Okay, and Athena to query uh, and EMR processing, Kinesis, and all you got right. Now curiosity is around what these three things are, which consist of data lake. Let's move on and try to demystify, starting with the S3. S3 is object-based storage, very famous and called as a storage for the internet, but we consider it as a Swiss Army knife, uh, not just used for dumping the data, but getting the value out of it, as you can see with the data lakes. So it's prepared, created for housing your objects for the higher durability, 11 nines of durability. So you have, uh, figuratively, it is called as there is a chance of losing one object in a million year. Yeah, so very durable. Why? Because it keeps your object backup in three or more than three availability zones. Yeah, available, highly available in 99.99 availability gives you an URL to retrieve your data from anywhere in the world. Yeah, key value pair ways. So high performance, multiple upload, multi upload available is there. Range cat, you can now use it with the CloudFront as well. Easy to use, REST APIs, SDKs, everything is available. Lifecycle policies, which is very important in the world of big data as well. The data which is not anymore required, you want to purge the data, you can put the lifecycle policy to it. So after 30 days, 50 days, 1 year, 2 year, data gets purged. Yeah, scalable, store as much as you need. What data lake would demand, guys? It would demand that it has a infinite, or just to say it, infinite storage to put your data. So that's what you get with the S3 integrated with all of the services we could see on the top. EMR, Redshift, DynamoDB, Lambda, and such as so on. KMS for encryption, for many other solutions as well. So this is the central part of our offerings. And today, what we are discussing when data analytics in the data lake, this is the central part. And S3 is understood well, good enough, but there is another challenge. What is the challenge in the ETL? Extract, transform, and load the data, right? So how the cycle is about generating the data, collecting, storing, and spending long time onto the data, right? So analyze and visualize it. So what does it say? The volume of the data as grows, data sources are added. 70% of the time is spent to 70% of the ETL jobs are basically created for the head for to get it done hard coded. So you have to write everything around it. So, but over the time, data formats changes, target schema changes. So these are the common challenges you would face with the ETL. So what we can do to overcome those challenges, specifically with the ETL, crawling, mapping, editing and exploring, and scheduling the job, right? So crawling is specifically uh, process of discovering the schema of the data. That's called as crawling, and point glue to the database running onto the RDS and S3, etc., and etc. So that's where you spend the most time onto the ETL, crawling, mapping, editing, and scheduling jobs, on-demand experiments. Yeah. So that's where you run queries to understand the structure of your data, crawling, processing, pointing, yeah, crawling and all, discovery of schema, and then mapping, processing, processing of taking source schema to your target schema, and many more. And scheduling job is on-demand experiment. So that's why AWS came up with the one of the service was with the name of AWS Glue. Glue is fully managed extract and transform service, all ETL managed service for you. So categorize your data, clean it, enrich it, and move it reliability with the reliably between various data sources. That's pretty much ETL does for you, and that's for that we have Glue to do that work for you. Once cataloged, your data is immediately searchable and queryable across your all data silos. It's a serverless service. So Glue is a serverless service, fully managed, scale out of a Spark environment. So AWS Glue is serverless service, fully managed, ETL as mentioned, and it generates the code to execute your data transformations and data load processing, automatically discovery, data searchable, and generate customizable code. Schedule and run your ETL jobs onto this. So once your ETL job is ready, you can schedule it to run on AWS Glue's fully managed Apache Spark environment. It's a serverless, it's a flexible, it's a built on open standards. Yeah. So benefit of it, very easy to manage because it's a serverless, and much of the efforts in building, maintaining, and running ETL jobs is taken away from the consumers. It will crawl your data sources, identify the formats, and suggest you the schema and transformation. It integrates with many of the services, wide array of services like of RDS, MySQL, RDS on Oracle, very much of RDS, all of databases, and also things running onto the EC2 instances in within the VPC as well. So that's where we come to the data lakes and trying saying once you have things onto the AWS, you can get most benefit out of it. And this is one of them, getting done things very easily and increase the productivity as well. So for developers, I just want to call it out. It's very much developer friendly. AWS Glue generates ETL code, which are customizable, reusable, and portable using familiar technology as of Python and Spark and many others. Yeah. Yeah. So you can also import customer readers, writers, and transformation into your Glue ETL code as well. So what are the typical steps, if you may ask me? First being the setting up the storage. Data lake's going to hold a massive amount of data. And before doing anything else, customers specifically need to set up storage to hold all of the data. So if you are using AWS, going to configure S3 and buckets in setting up the storage, right? So that's going to be S3. That would be one step in there. Then need to move the data. Customer needs to connect to different data sources on premise, in cloud, and IoT devices. Sounds like a lot of work, right? So customer do this today with the collection of file transfer ETL tools like of Glue, and then cleans, prep and data, which is the next step. So customer need to very carefully partition, index, and transform the columnar formats to optimize the performance and cost, and many other things around the cleansing of the data. I should be not be the one to telling you what are those steps. So yeah, a lot of efforts to be spent there, and configure and enforce the policies for the democratization point of view, governance point of view, and then make data available for analytics as being the last part. Different people in your organization, like analysts, data scientists, may have trouble to finding the data and trusting on this onto the data lake as well. So you need to categorize it to make it for consumers to find it easily. So you might ask, it sounds a lot of work. So what we can do in regards to get this done easily. So for that, we have service called as a lake formation, from the point of identifying, ingesting, cleaning, and transforming data to managing it at one place. So lake formation can help you to discover, clean, manage, store data very, very faster. So once the data source are created, you can define policies for security, governance, and auditing at one place. So I'm hoping you are following me in that regards. What we had been doing with the data lakes is getting everything at one place. But to get things on one place, there are a lot of efforts at the background. So for that matter, what we can do, we can use service like a formation, so can form data lakes for you. So with the matter of few clicks, you can set up your data lakes onto the Amazon S3 and start ingestion data from a single screen with all of the settings. So how does it work in action? This is how pretty much it does look like to run your data lakes onto the AWS. So from the point of ingestion and register, automatically ingest, clean, and organize the catalog structured and semi-structured data, including logs, data, and relational database into your data lakes. That's where, with a matter of clicks, when I said that pretty much you can do it. And next stage is control. So you give the permission on the tables, permission to the users, databases. As recently you might have noticed, like Redshift also now have a granular access onto the columnar level, so you can restrict that. You can give the table level access to your consumers, column level, by the way. So stage three is onto the collaborate and use, search data catalog and the metadata, get the value out of it, and then monitoring and auditing, download the logs and access the monitoring the all activities happening. So that's pretty much lake formation is going to help you with. Is how it differentiates as compared to the traditional way of managing the data. It's, I think, pretty much we demystified all of those terms, having everything stored, managed at one place using S3 as a baseline storage, which is in itself very um, low cost storage for the internet, having a 7 different tiers where you can put your data. If it is infrequently accessed, you can keep there. If it's a frequently, you can put in standard. Many of the tools are there. On top of it, you can run like uh, all of batch processing, real-time ingestion, and many other tools. So it's like formation is like uh, giving glue S3 at one place. So it's a sort of package you are getting in there. Okay, so hoping you have had some of good questions and those been entertained by my uh, team. So we are having a team helping us at the background. So yeah, with that, now we move on to the next customer, which is using data lakes and analytics. By the way, they have a very nice long video. Again, I'm referring you to the video to have a look onto that, because they talk about lot internal knowledge as well. What are the challenges and uh, how they eliminated those challenges in those videos. But yeah, we can have a small discussion around it. So Cisco Foods is basically a growing global company with presence in roughly more than 80 countries and having revenue around 400 billion in a food service market. So yeah, so you can see they had a very big scale in a spread across many countries, having a big revenue, and they had a lot of challenges, large volume of data in multiple systems, which was causing them very high cost from maintaining on-premise enterprise data warehouse deployment. So what they did is basically they migrated their on-premise solution to AWS with the Redshift, S3, EMR, and Athena. So by bringing their data to the S3 from various sources, including even their niche data marts such as Lexington as well, they started parsing the data onto the S3 as a data lake. So the data scientist used Apache Zeppelin, Apache Spark, which is a managed serving onto the EMR available, and also notebooks and ad hoc data analysis. They started using it. So they build their data lake on top of AWS, and this is pretty much it looks like onto their data flow. So that's what they were using it. So Cisco is a leader in selling marketing. They had a challenge we talked about. They consolidate data into single data lake using EMR, Redshift, S3 as a data lake, and then from top of it, they were using the tools we were talking about. The whole case study, how they also combined Lambda, also combined other databases like of RDS and Aurora in between. There's a whole case study onto that. And those who are asking where the case study links will be available, for your ease, we have kept it onto the slides as well, but it's pretty much easy. So aws.amazon.com/case studies. I think it has a hyphen between it. Then you sort it with very easily with uh, with analytics and big data segment, you will get a lot of case studies. So these all are available there. So why does it called glue? It is going to glue a lot of your data. So many of the services having interesting name at AWS, I would say. So you can get to know about other services like a Beanstalk is there. Yeah. So yeah, many of them having a very strange and very interesting names at the same time. Okay, so there's a question around Amazon Redshift Spectrum. In very easy words, I would say it is to query the data from the S3 in any format, Parquet or JSON, whatever you have. That's where you use the data warehouse to leverage the unstructured data as well. Yeah, so that's how it is. So you can have a look onto this video that it will be discussed in a more details as well. Yeah, so good. Okay, so what have we covered, guys? We have gone through more than half of our flywheel. It's a large section of the flywheel now. So we moved the data. I know everyone remembers what we did there, and then we built app, and then we just started knowing data lakes are going to transform the things when you are tapping into the unstructured data. And next one, what to do with it? Innovate with ML and blockchain, getting the most benefit out of it. Yeah. So let's get into this section, understanding AWS for AI and machine learning. So we have broadest and deepest set of AI and ML services available. So for a fact, we launched 200 new features and services last year alone. Yeah. Another fact, we have twice of customer running onto the AWS as compared to the second largest provider. So you can imagine our platforms capabilities, right? So it's an unmatched flexibility available. So we have a mission there. So our mission is basically to put machine learning in hands of everyone. Every developer is there, not considered like of only the PhD holder data scientist, but everyone can do the machine learning on AWS platform using the SageMaker. So you can accelerate your adoption of machine learning with SageMaker. So SageMaker is what many of you might have on question on to that, even though we had a session on Monday. So I want to ask some of you what exactly SageMaker is. So, but yeah, SageMaker is a platform to run your machine learning workload. So basically to create your machine learning models, starting from the point of building it to training it and deploying it. The whole life cycle is around the machine learning is as a managed platform available. Benefit onto the labeling side, it's 70% of cost reduction on ground truth. SageMaker ground truth is available 10 times faster, 75% lower inference cost. Yeah. So, so we have a most comprehensive cloud platform to optimize for the ML, having the integration with the S3. So you might be thinking, now we have data stored onto the S3, which is cleaned, which is formatted, encoded, and everything. Now, how we leverage machine learning. So it has integration with the S3 as well. S3 being the object-based storage. Even it has a integration with the EFS. If you have a data stored onto the EFS, which is elastic file storage, you can get this file storage data to the S3. To the SageMaker. Okay, with that, I want to introduce our 3-layer of machine learning stack, basically our AI ML stack. First, giving the access onto the framework and infrastructure to experts of machine learning practitioners. So you have a big enterprise working on uh, machine learning platform. They are good at managing, capable enough to understanding how to create interfaces. Using interfaces, they can pretty much get the EC2 instances and start running with it. The machines we have, EC2 instances we have, which is a virtual machine in the cloud, can use for the machine learning, as they are well optimized for this purpose only. For example, this inferentia chips which we created is very specifically for running your inferences. Yeah, so you can use that. So many other options, like to run machine learning at the edge, you can use Greengrass. So once you have data and you want to use that data to build your own models, model to predict something like recommendations, or maybe you are using it for identifying the frauds, right? Anything you are doing that for predicting anything, you can use a lot of services. By the way, this picture is old now. There is an IDE is available, which is right now in preview. Like in Visual Basic, we have everything from building, managing projects to monitoring, debugging, everything. We have IDE available for that. We call as a SageMaker Studio, which you can use for all the machine learning purpose. So machine learning is basically three ways: building, tuning, and deploying. And this is all a click away from each other in a Dockerized way. So yeah, you can go for that and use it platform as a service. And then there are some services which are available to take off the shelf and start using it in the vision, speech, language, chatbots, forecasting, and recommendation engine. So you can pretty much use it. A lot of services are being used with. And there is a very one interesting question which has taken my site: is AWS analytics and ML services being used by any organization to find a vaccine for COVID-19? So good question. There is a one study I would share with you. By the way, I would also encourage you to follow our CTO. So why I'm recommending you to do that, because Warner Vogels, his name, I think it was mentioned before by my team as well. So he has launched, by the way, he has published one blog about how we are helping. Yeah, so you can get Puneet more view onto that, how AWS platform is being used by John Hopkins. I think I should not take the name of the customer, but yeah, that blog has all the information which you can refer to. So all things distributed. One link I shared in the morning with all of you. Then there is another one which you can refer to, and all information is available around that. Yeah, so how AWS is using in such unprecedented time to help the search with the COVID-19. It's an interesting question, and yeah, you can have a look onto that, how we are helping the different uh, healthcare industry as well. Yeah, very interesting read, by the way. On personal note, I'm saying. Okay, so yeah, that's what is about onto the AI ML stack. So this is pretty much for you to run the ML yourself. If you want any deep learning service which is already prepared for you, you can take it. API driven, you integrate with your tool services, enterprise tools as well. So I want to call out Deloitte has one uh, uh, tool created for the contact center, which is named as a True Voice. So any call ended in the call center is using machine learning capabilities to understand sentiments of the users calling in, and based on that, the call will be diverted to the right stream. Right. In similar, we also have in within the Amazon.com. That's where we started machine learning, and a lot of services created by many partners, like PowerUp has a Botzer, sorry. So being used by many big name customers. Yeah. So Wipro, BluePie, many of the partners are using these capabilities and creating a lot of solutions with their own capabilities as well. So yeah, so a lot of partners like you create using this machine learning stack and creating a lot of services like Blaze Clan, Impetus, Sears, many of them. Okay, so I would recommend you to have a hands-on onto this. These are having a free tier as well available for you to try out things. And with that, just want to say we have more than 10,000 customers running onto the AWS. Like we have BluePie, NASA, we have Snapchat, and many others. One of my favorite is Thorn. By the way, uh, uh, this is a NGO which uses uh, machine learning to identify uh, the lost children and the children who have been thrown into the sex trafficking. So they are using the image recognition to find those victims and helping them. So I think it's in the US in Chicago. They have found a lot of kids and escaped them from those difficult things. Yeah. So yeah, Thorn is one of customer I wanted to call out. It's using AI machine learning for very good purpose. Too simple for the automobile, and many of the partners are there. Yeah, using Yelp, we talked in the morning, Zillow, Slack, using machine learning onto the AWS. And as being the TensorFlow, the project from the Google, you can see 85% of TensorFlow in the cloud is specifically happening onto the AWS. So this talks about our platform capability. Yeah. So different variety of customers using it from different purposes, from the startups to the mid enterprises to the large enterprises, monetizing their applications as well as modernizing at the same time. Okay, so Domino's, one of the customer using the uh, Amazon personalized to customize and scale marketing communication to the customers based on the time, context, and content. They improve the customer experience altogether. So Domino's Pizza is one of the largest pizza chain in the world, using uh, some of machine learning capabilities of AWS. They also have some solution created where they take the images of the pizzas and find which topping at which place would be a best to arrange in. Yeah, many other ways they use the machine learning on AWS. And also they use the Amazon personalized to predict purchasing behavior of the users as well, to give them a better experience while running the campaigns through one of the service called as a Pinpoint. If you guys have not heard about Pinpoint, it is recently launched in India. By the way, it's an old service. It's been there for a very long time, and you will be very soon getting more information around Pinpoint on how it is used for campaigning, messaging, alerting, and all those things. So, in summary, what we have gone through the whole cycle from the discovery, so glue, crawlers, and moving on to the ingestion using the glue as well, kinesis streams for streaming data in, housing it in host, Pyros, DMS for processing migrating the data. If in case converting it, you can use SCT in DMS. Yeah. So moving from NetSA, moving from the Teradata, you use many of these tools. Snowball. If in case you have a huge amount of data, obviously if it is analytics, it can be in petabyte of data sometimes. So why to use internet and spend a couple of weeks, months time to upload the data to S3? However, data in is free, by the way. That's not a matter. The time here, challenge here is the time. So that's where you can use Snowmobile or Snowmobile, Snowball for that purpose. Snowmobile is 45 feet long truck, which can help you to migrate the data if you have exabyte of data available. Yeah. So on to the other hand, direct connect. If you consider uh, you have couple of terabyte of data, you can still use direct connect, which is a uh, dedicated bandwidth for you to upload the data. Good. Okay, so very quickly going through the storage, you have multiple options: security, management, catalog, preparation, analyzing, and visualization. I'm hoping no one has missed any of the point. If have done, these are the services in a one catalog from discovery to visualization it is represented. And in data lakes, this is pretty much how it looks like. Yeah. So ingest mean to bring the data in, ingesting it the cloud onto the central storage S3. You can see the services we talked about, and DynamoDB, and managing governance, and then processing and protecting it. Many of the tools in a one slide. This is how the data lake would be presented. This is how to summarize it. Yeah. So I know you remember now setup of steps of setting it up. By the way, for you to support that, there is a link down here which you can have a look onto at a later stage, and that will be provided. So best practices to build a data lake: build decoupled streams, data, store, process, then store, analyze, and get your answers done. Use the right tool for the right job: data structuring, latency, throughput, access pattern. Leverage the managed services so you offload a lot of undifferentiated tasks. Use Elasticsearch things, which is managed service for ELK, for your logs being the center part of many industries, knowing the users behavior, experience, and their usages as well. So yeah, that should be easily managed and used. And big data should not be equivalent to big cost. For that matter, you use S3 as a storage for the data lake. And from moving on, talk to your customer groups before you start up building up, because data lake in itself is a huge investment. Analyzing it, managing it before your customer, thinking hard around it, help them to navigate towards the right approach so they get the benefit of the cloud, benefit of managed services, benefit of getting the data inputs at real time range as well. So with that, we are putting curtains on our section of talking about services. Now we'll move to segment. We will talk about business problems we get understanding the data, maintaining the storage. Like, it's a big